Let's talk about Fresh and Fit podcast. The Fresh and Fit podcast was formerly one of the biggest podcasts within the Red Pill community. The Red Pill is a metaphor for a scene in The Matrix where there were two groups, and one group they took the red pill and they were considered the people who had more power to do things, while the people who took the blue pills were in a group where they were considered to be ignorant, people who had no clue, people who wasn't the smartest in the room. It's funny because I would also like to use this red pill and blue pill metaphor to describe Walter Waves, who in this case I would be referring to as Fresh, and Myrone Gaines' relationship. But anyways, don't forget to stay subscribed. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Basically, the Red Pill community is a prominent manosphere community that promotes the belief that men are naturally more dominant over women. And they also advocate for a return to the so-called traditional gender roles. So that is exactly what the Red Pill community stands for. They believe that they have control over women. This brings me to talk about Nick Funtress. This guy is an American far-right political pundit. He is also a live streamer. He promotes supremacist, misogynistic, and anti-Semitic views. His YouTube page was permanently terminated in February 2020 for violating YouTube's hate policy speech. So, why am I discussing Nicholas Funtress? I'm talking about him because Nick Funtress has a significant role to play between Fresh and Myron's disagreements, which I'm going to talk about later on in this video. The Fresh and Fit podcast started off really well in 2021. These guys rose to fame from discussing about OnlyFans models, the sex industry, relationships, and how to get men to operate in their masculine energy. That was how this Fresh and Fit podcast started off. But then their content started to change, and now it has become what it is today, which in my opinion has been totally discarded and disregarded. I'm also gonna mention and talk about why I strongly disagree with everything that Myrone has been doing. Let's start with Fresh and Myron's disagreement. Fresh and Myrone, they started the podcast together, and in this case, this is a clear example of how teamwork makes the dream work, because these two guys have totally different lives way before they came together to start this podcast. Myrone is not one to be scared of engaging with people, while on the other hand, Fresh seems to be a more reserved guy, someone who people would think can be taken advantage of. And in this case, Myrone did try to disrespect Fresh on the podcast multiple times. Their disagreement started off with them discussing this particular video.
And she just rang his doorbell, but had her camera out. Now, when she rang his doorbell, he opened up the door, pepper sprayed her, pushed her down the stairs, and grabbed her phone. So they were debating, is the arrest legal or not? All right. Should Nick Fuentes have been arrested for pepper spraying this woman and pushing her down the stairs?
But I think this speaks volumes to where we are in America. And what I've realized ever since the George Floyd riots and Minneapolis being burned down to the ground, there's been an enormous amount of pressure on DAs and law enforcement to take cases criminally that get national news or notoriety. And obviously, if you Google Nick, the left doesn't like him, right? They label him as a racist, whatever racist pejorative term you want to use, right? They're going to be like, you know what, let's go ahead and just prosecute this case. He's probably more than likely I think he's going to beat this case with a half competent lawyer. He'll be able to articulate look, this is self-defense. This woman came to his fucking door, blah, blah, blah. But I think where we are now as a nation is They'd rather prosecute first, ask questions later, and then let the person get exonerated by a jury of their peers. Surprise.
My question is, what force did she apply to him directly? What force?
She came right up to his front door.
But what did she do? Forcefully. Because imagine this, right? So someone walks up to you, they didn't do nothing, you hit them. Who's in trouble? You, right?
Well, she did make a threat right before on YouTube saying, not on YouTube, on Facebook saying like, I'm gonna go confront him, whatever. We don't know, and he didn't know.
But if someone's talking to you, and you hit them, and they didn't touch you, well, is that self-defense?
Well, I wait and find out.
But okay, isn't self-defense you defending yourself when they attack you?
Yeah, she went to his house.
But she didn't attack him.
Doesn't matter. Went to his house. You don't know what she's gonna do. I wouldn't chance it either. Someone shows up at your front door that you don't know on some weirdo shit. Like, yeah, you first thing you did was create distance right away.
But okay, hold on.
Pushed her off the
If
thing.
someone comes to my door, I don't know. I'm gonna open the door. Period. If you're gonna do that, like, listen, I'm not saying that what he did wasn't justified because of his actual threats and all that stuff. I'm just saying she didn't attack him directly. So they can argue and say, listen, she didn't even touch him. He pushed her and maced her.
I think she's lucky that he only did that.
And in the court, they're gonna argue, oh, it's an old lady that's one of them. Oh, you're cooked. That's what I
Nah,
think.
I think if he has a halfway competent lawyer, he'll be able to. Because, bro, you've been getting death threats. Someone shows up at your house. Are you gonna sit there and chance it? Like, oh yeah, let me open the door and see what she's gonna do. No, that nigga gave her the fucking Spartan kick, bro. You know, like.
This is Sparta!
I'm not gonna even give you the chance to do some shit.
Because if I'm smart, he played into their hands directly. Because now they got him death threats.
And also keep in mind, people were mailing shit to his house. So
why open up the door?
He don't know what she was doing. Like, hey, don't drop shit off at my front door.
If I see somebody that I don't know or trust, nigga, I'm not opening no damn door. Like, bro, you might kind of shoot me. So if that's the case, like, okay, listen, I'm thinking logically here.
Like I said, I think he was 100% justified and it was I think 1,000% justified, given the nature of what happened. Someone that's been in his shoes before with this type of shit happening before, I 1,000% think that she's lucky she only got Mason kicked. To be honest with you. Now, granted, I think the issue here is that he lives in Illinois. If he did this in Florida, he would have been fine.
My problem is she didn't forcefully attack him, or in any case, incite violence to him, and he attacked her first. So
she stepped on his property.
Doesn't matter. She didn't physically attack him.
Doesn't matter. She shouldn't be there.
Is there a sign saying don't trespass? No. So listen, I get it. Imagine this was a mailman that came to his door.
Oh, nigga, that's different.
Hold on.
A mailman.
Follow me here. Imagine somebody's there. He may not know why they're there, and he's triggered because of his death threats and attacks them. Isn't that the same thing?
No, not at all. Because the mailman has a duty to be there. He has a right to be there. He's supposed to be there. He's fulfilling a obligation to his job. He's wearing a uniform. He's clearly a distinguished member of society that this is his job.
Discussing the video was not the only thing that caused their riff. Myrone Gaines later insisted to bring Nicholas Fontres onto their podcast, which was something that Fresh in this case wasn't really a fan of. Myrone Gaines went on further in that podcast to speak on anti-Semitism and Jewish people, which was a clear violation of Fresh's opinions and the things he wanted to discuss on the podcast. Fresh went on to post 2 pictures with Jewish people, one which he took with Ben Shapiro and another one which he took with, I think, a famous personality. By Fresh doing this, he is rebellious and trying to prove or show to his viewers his stance by clearly saying he is not on the same page with Myrone Gaines. Myrone went ahead and posted this on Twitter, and Fresh responded to Myrone's tweet by saying this. I guess all of these things combined was what resulted in Fresh and Myrone not being on speaking terms. And before we get into this, I just want to let you guys know that the Fresh and Fit podcast has been demonetized and their videos are not even getting half the views, or in fact, their channel is completely dead, if you ask me, because compared to what they were gaining 2 or 3 years back, this is really exciting to watch. And I know this sounds bad, but yes, did you guys come across any of the Fresh and Fit podcast that year? These guys terrorized women. He did that by constantly bullying women and trying to agitate them and get a reaction from them. That is something I would basically like to compare to inciting violence. And that to me is illegal. That shouldn't be allowed. The reason why I say this is Myron Gaines has been contradicted so many times, and this guy is getting himself mixed up in way more controversies than you would imagine. Because tell me how Myron Gaines went on Pierce's Morgan Uncensored podcast 3 days ago and made the most heinous statement. And he said this to a very famous and popular activist. And mind you, Myron Gaines has been removed on Twitter several times for making anti-Semitic statements and racist comments. This guy has also said some really haram stuff. And I'm sure even his brothers would not take him. I'm going too far with that one. This is a clip of what Myron said to Rabbi Shmuley.
But I also agree with you that this is absolutely unacceptable. I saw your tweet. I believe, respectfully, that this interview will live in shame for the two of you for the duration of your careers. Am I really hearing, first of all, from you, Myron, that he was joking when he said he beats up women? Ha ha, I beat my wife, Bianca, and that's funny? What is funny about beating up a woman? What is funny about threatening violence against a people who in the lifetime of my mother were gassed at a rate of 10,000 a day and turned into ash? There's real consequences to this hate. There used to be an alliance between the Black and Jewish communities, knowing that we were hated for no reason other than the fact that we were different.
Right.
Please, stop defending hatred.
Again, I find it incredible that he's over here so critical of Kanye West, right? About, he beats his wife, whatever. Meanwhile, you're walking around with a war criminal that's killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people, bombed them indiscriminately, etc. I find it very interesting that you're so hardcore on Twitter about some tweets that may or may not have been a joke, more than likely a joke. Anyone that has common sense, sarcasm, dark humor, etc., versus you're running around with someone that's literally a war criminal wanted by the ICC that's killed tens of thousands of innocent children, right? And then you're over here calling for censorship. I'm tired of anti-Semitism. I'm tired of racism. People like you are the fucking problem, because here's the thing. Americans are tired of censorship. We're tired of being browbeat into being virtue signaling losers like you, who always sit there and try to raise people and say, you go ahead and you provoke problems with people. I've literally seen you do this. You go up to people, you provoke them, and they tell you fuck off, and then you get mad and you yell anti-Semitism. Quite literally, what I want to hear is this. Rabbi Shmuley, until you can actually call people liars for what they say, no one cares about anti-Semitism anymore. You guys run around, use it for everything. We're tired of it. Stop trying to browbeat us and virtue signal, saying, that's anti-Semitic. How about this? When you can call someone a liar for what they're saying, then we'll start taking you more seriously. Other than that, you're a fucking dildo rabbi.
You know, the funny thing is, if you just let someone talk enough, they get to show you who they really are. For this guy, he's all about free speech, and I have no problem with you saying whatever you want. But Rabbi Shmuley definitely made a lot of sense by asking him that question, because if you really are for free speech, does that mean you can say things that would incite violence when it is clear that a lot of these things, this hate speech, these anti-Semitic comments, are the reasons why there is a lot of violence happening? So it doesn't make sense that Myron Gaines would feel the need to branch out and speak on political ideas when his entire fan base isn't even on that level. And the only reason why Myron's channel gained that kind of traction in the first place was because he spoke to men through bringing women on his shows. These women made understanding women to his male dominated audience easier. First of all, I don't see myself as someone who is like very into politics, but I do think like both politics and dealing with human beings, it is almost the same thing. Myron feels the need to speak on so many different things, yet he has little to no experience in that. Talk about relationships. You talk about relationships. You try to help men get into relationships by them obeying your orders, and you can't even keep a woman for yourself. It even goes worse than that. This influencer Anna Quinn recently outed Myrone on this. She revealed these text messages. People are slowly catching on to Myrone gains, especially since he hasn't been doing so well in his career and his trajectory has just been going downwards. And you guys know that Fresh isn't one to involve himself or mix himself up with controversies. This guy likes to not talk about things when he doesn't agree with them. He just keeps quiet. But it seems like Myrone doesn't get the script. Myrone just likes to talk. He just wants the attention. He just has so many things to say. When it comes to anti-Semitism and all of the things that are associated with it, I personally feel like these are people's experiences, you know? These things can be ignored. How people feel towards how they have been treated in the past is their burden to carry. This is their history, you know, and to be honest, it's a very painful one at that, because Jewish people have been bullied for years. And let me tell you, the Jewish community has faced one of the oldest forms of hate. Like, these guys have been the most hated for the longest time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he is qualified to speak on that, because if you want to be a YouTuber, focus on being a YouTuber. If you want to be in politics, then go in that way. Don't try to fool us by trying to be every and anything possible just to gain the attention. And I don't think things are working out in his favor, by the way. Don't try to fool us by making us believe that you are so passionate about everything. Who is that dumb? Who is that stupid to think that you are so passionate about every single conversation regarding race, black women, white supremacists, far and left like political parties? Honestly, as someone who is not super invested in politics, I would say not everyone, not everything is something to be discussed. Like, some things are just meant to be heard, listened to, and message received. That's it. Not everything is meant to be spoken on. But I wouldn't say it is the case with Myrone, because that guy's been doing podcasts for the longest time. And yes, some of his talks did strike us as sensible, but after listening to a whole bunch of nonsense that he's been spewing, I guess people are starting to think that this guy is becoming Delulu. And yes, I know he has his own thoughts on how women should be treated based on their careers, but you criticize women for choosing this path, and then you patronize these same women, thereby making you seem like what exactly like the hypocrite you portray yourself to be. But let's quickly dive into the issue between Myrone and Rashid. Rashid has come on Fresh and Fit podcast a couple times in the past, but ever since these guys have been facing a lot of backlash, I guess Rashid finally decided he had something to say about the whole situation. This is the video in question that has caused this whole complicated relationship between Rashid and Myrone.
And black women rank the lowest for getting a customer service representative that's black, and then also waiting on a table of black women. So servers say they hate serving black women the most, and then people that call customer service say they hate dealing with black women the most. So it's like, bro, what the is going on here, man? And then on top of that, black women don't have a general respect for masculinity because a lot of them grow up in fatherless households. So they grow up being told, your daddy ain't, your ain't, then you listen to the music, and it's this like continuous and very pernicious cycle of just constant on men. So by the time she comes to you, she doesn't really have an appreciation and respect for masculinity and most importantly, your authority. So she doesn't feel as though she needs to submit to you and follow you. So these are just some of the issues that plague the black community. Again, I want to be clear about this. Is this all black women? No, but we can't sit here and lie and say that it's not something that permeates throughout the culture and isn't endorsed, supported, and most importantly, encouraged.
So Rashid basically came on this podcast criticizing Myrone for making racist comments towards black women. I don't think Rashid is wrong for finally deciding to speak up on this. I'm guessing Fresh has decided it's time for a new fresh start because he is now uploading more frequently on his YouTube channel, which goes by the name A Fresh New Start. And Myrone has been busy over on his own channel promoting his controversial topics on politics and anti-Semitic views. I guess the question to ask ourselves is, are we experiencing the downfall of the Fresh and Fit podcast? That is up to you guys to let me know in the comment section. I honestly think it's time for Fresh to find something different to do because now it seems like we are only just tolerating Myrone and his opinions, even though he still has like some supporters on his side. Those are definitely people who also have been hurt by women, people who share like belief system. Myrone has been very like vocal about his opinions on black women. These two men have a history of dating black women, and even Fresh has been married to a black woman in the past, and Myrone also has dated one in the past. Myrone gains with the way he's going and the opinions he keeps airing out and his views. He seems to be going in the opposite direction of what his fans want. And to be honest, his channel isn't really doing or gaining that much views or traction, even though they seem to have gone in two different directions. So are we experiencing the end of these two duos? What do you guys think about the both of them having two different channels and branching out to discuss on two different ideas? I really would like to hear your thoughts on this. So that's about it for this episode. If you did enjoy watching this episode, make sure to give this video a like, share this video to your friends. Let me know in the comment section what kind of videos you would like me or topics you would like me to discuss in the nearest future. That's about it for this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.